This is episode 148 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. At least I'm not in last place, Manzano.
Gotta look at the bright side.
Ryan, beards on top, Staniszewski.
Yeah, beards on top.
And Will, insert belt here, Hagwood.
Thank you. You're so kind.
All right, I think we needed to start with this today. If you're not watching live, if you're just listening, a fan made this fan art of my face using the Obama poster styling, and it has my face talking about the Gsp Showdown, and it says "Lean in the variance." Disappointed, Dion. Anyway. Super excited today. We're gonna talk about some X-Wing. We're gonna have a good time. So let's start with announcements and news. As of right now, Fantasy Flight Games has announced that all product releases. Let's go ahead and go to our view here. All product releases are postponed. Right there. It's in the title. Upcoming FFG releases are postponed. It doesn't give a date. It doesn't give an estimate because we don't know when our country is going to be back up and running again at a normal pace. They do mention that people outside of the United States, things might be a little bit different. But again, that's completely dependent on their partnered distributions. Yeah, I mean, so that means the biggest thing is probably the upcoming wave, right? Which we're going to talk about a little bit today. Those upcoming ships and all the things they talked about at the stream that we're going to hit. But I wanted to give you guys the news. Also, we had the Naboo Starfighter fiasco that happened this week where their servers, right, they just couldn't handle the demand. So absolutely. So here's a question. I'll be honest. I actually forgot about the Naboo Starfighter. I was playing with my daughter. Okay, and then I flipped open my phone at one point and just take a peek at Facebook, and I saw people going of course FFG server would crash. I'm like, oh, I missed it. So I guess for someone like me, it worked out because I get another chance to try to get a couple. Will, did you try to get some Naboo Starfighters?
I have one, and I feel like that's enough. In these times, unfortunately, I got better things to spend my money on.
Fair.
Know it's real sad to say, but I do think the lottery system's a little outrageous. They have the list of people who, have Adepticon badges. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They can easily get all the email addresses from the people who run Adepticon and send out hey, you want to buy a Naboo Starfighter?
Yeah.
So I don't understand the lottery system. I think this is just karma hitting them real hard for it.
Marcel, did you try?
No, I saw the post come up. I was having lunch and I decided to continue having lunch. Yeah, I figured I was the same thing. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I'd sign up later. I was going to get it just because I went to Adepticon, but I have, to Will's point, he's got one. He doesn't need any more. I've got 4. Mm-hmm. I don't need any more. I don't think I can fly more than 4. Well, I guess I could fly 5. But, yeah. So, no. And also for the paint job, Luke Carrington painted those really cool ones for me. So
yeah.
Can't get any better than the ones that Luke did.
For a note, Marcel, you can put 6 Bravo flight officers in one list.
You can. Doesn't mean you should.
I mean, actually, that sounds weird. I'm going to try that.
That's more of a D-Yoon problem if we go by his logic.
True.
Yeah, right?
Because now he needs to have 6 of them in that paint scheme. They think is the problem with the, with the alt-art cards that all go with it, right? But anyway, Ryan, did you try?
Nope, not much of a Republic player. If I do play Republic, I prefer to have actual ships used in the Republic army, not some planetary defense force shenanigans. So
It's pretty ship.
not sure, whatever.
I thought it was pretty. Anyway, cool. Let's go on to our next topic. And real quick here, Patreon update. We talked about it during the GSP Showdown, but I have in hand everything for Patreon except for the frosted cards. Those are supposed to ship from our manufacturer on the 2nd, so in 2 days from right now. So assuming that those ship on time and I get them, then I'll be shipping those in April. There will be a bit of a delay. Usually I have a team of people that come and help me over 2 days. And now, of course, because of social distancing, I'm going to be all by myself. I did have somebody to offer to like pick up some and work on it, but I still got to work on the logistics on how all that works. We'll see. All right, but they will get out. It's just going to be a little bit slower going than usual. But we did also reveal the brand new stuff that's coming out. That's actually going to be in the July Patreon stuff. We have the art all right there. We have Fen Rao, Captain Seavor, Mace Windu, and a Techno Union Bomber. Absolutely awesome. And yes, we did do a Fen Rao art before, but it was the Rebel Fen Rao. This is a Scum Fen Rao, using that Concordia face-off and getting in the face of an A-Wing, just trashing it. But some absolutely beautiful art by our commissioned artists, and I think thank you to them. And the same type of breakdown as before, depending on your level. You either get the paper cards or the paper and the plastic. We're also going to do a different poster, stickers, and the whole thing. And that's going to be being released in July. So let's go ahead and get into our first topic, the GSP Showdown results. So I'll go ahead and just head over to the scoreboard and be sad. Here we go. So, Will, go ahead and read the tail of the tape there.
From order of left to right, we got Dion Morales, 0-3, with an asterisk that you lost every game by one shot in the final round.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But that's good. I mean, fair enough. We got William Hegwood going 3-0.
That guy's pretty good.
A couple good matchups and a little bit of dice luck. It's pretty much like every tournament. We got Ryan with 2-1, only losing to me, and Marcel Manzano with 1-2.
Now, as for the GSP Showdown format, it seemed like people were really digging it. We were around 250 to 300 viewers all day, which was awesome. And I will tell you that I have received the message within the last half hour of us going live that one of the groups that I've reached out to are super excited to do this again. And it's going to be 4 other people. We have how much should I give them? Should I give them the location and just let them speculate?
Yeah, I think give them the location. That way,
Continent.
You get ideas of. That way, you get ideas of who else you might reach out to.
That's right. So as of right now, it looks like our next GSP Showdown, at least the one that will get scheduled, whether it'll be first or second, that's dependent on schedules and all that, but will be GSP Showdown Australia edition. All right. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering about like the time and all that. So we will run it at their time zone. So I'll be up late those days, and but it's Australian edition. We got to do it Australian time zone. If I'm still at home, it works out. So it should be super fun. We're going to get some great games, and the goal eventually, again, is to do 4 of these, and then we take the 4 champions, we put them together. All right. So we'll see. Should be super fun. So overall thoughts on the event, Ryan? What'd you think?
So I thought it was a lot of fun. It'd been a while since I've had the opportunity to commentate, and hoped everyone enjoyed that. It was fun to commentate with everybody. Like, It was a little bit different with each person that I commented with Will, Dion, and Marcel. It's interesting seeing all the variation of games. I guess that's what the kind of the fun part is like we only had 2 sets of lists that were very similar, being the Jedi Aces, or the Jedi with the Naboo Starfighters, and the Inquisitor lists. But beyond that, the matchups were so different that it was something different to call each time or experience each time. A lot of us tried different things. I was like, all right, what happens if I use It's the Resistance with Rey? Can be good. I just got to have ships alive when she shows up. Or at least not get one shot, not die. So, and there's just learning with that too. So, yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I look forward to see other people experience it.
Marcel, what'd you think?
I had a good time with it. Same as Ryan. It'd been a while since I just kind of sat back and commentated on a game without, just commentated. I think the last time was in Philly last year with you last December, and the tabletop simulator actually for me was a lot of fun. To your point, we had a lot of people viewing, so that was good to see that a lot of people were interested in watching with Tabletop Simulator, and also for me, both commentating and seeing the little hand move around and trying to guess what people are thinking, and as your mouse or your finger pointer is making the 3 turn, like, oh well, I kind of think we know which way he's going to go and all that. That was fun to do, and from the playing side of it. I don't know how it came across on the people that are commentating or watching, but I know, for example, when Ryan and I were playing, we were throwing the ships around and acting like we were angry that we missed the but it's just the ability to do stuff like that, just the physics to physically grab something and flip it and throw tantrums was enjoyable. I don't know how to say it. It just felt good to be able to grab a ship and throw it and toss it off the table. I had a lot of fun with that. It adds. It makes you feel a little better when you're losing. And I saw Dion, you were starting to do that too.
Yep. At the end, I'm like, none of this matters. Throw this ship across the board.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's fun. So I enjoyed Tabletop Simulator more than I thought I would. I'm still not very comfortable with like the ranges and the angles, but
yeah,
from a play experience, I had a ton of fun.
Awesome. And Champion?
Definitely had to echo the commentating. I think we all know each other very well enough to like get that. Feedback's not the right word. I mean, feedback is in like an audio sense, but.
Like going back and forth between each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like bouncing off each other might be the better word, of being able to set each other up. And like I said, it's easier to commentate. Dion, you've commentated with a bunch of like random people before, right?
Yeah, correct.
So I know you know what I'm talking about when you're just like, oh, my inside jokes aren't working. His jokes are falling flat, and like what are we even talking about anymore? So it was very enjoyable to not have that kind of stuff, to be able to just basically talk amongst our friends, even though we're talking about high level X-wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I got extremely lucky on my matchups. I thought it was very interesting. I'm still like processing having the chat choose your list.
Yeah,
it's rough because like because I thought they gave me like in our first matchup, First Order versus Ryan's Resistance. I thought that was pretty evenly matched. Ray could come in, just start hitting my 3 agility ships and taking them off the board, right? But then I thought I got a favorable matchup to try to. I think the chat was throwing Marcel under the bus in our game by giving me Supernaturals Inquisitors versus I2 Bandits.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then it went the opposite way. That basically we all just kind of collectively decided the worst matchup for me versus Dion, which was my Hyperspace Rebels versus his extended World Championship winning.
Stop digging
Aces.
it in. Stop digging it in.
No, that's like on paper that was by far the worst matchup between our 4 available lists, right? And the chat voted for it like way beyond, like no chance for it to be any other matchup, right? So that was tough. I was already plotting my tiebreaker match with Ryan, so that's super weird. I'm not sure how to counter that other than just don't bring bad lists.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fact.
Yeah, just assume the chat will want as many games as possible, and if they can make a tiebreaker, they will.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one of the
Makes a lot
cool
of sense.
things is that our all the matchups became, there was some thematic matchups. We didn't have any type of mirror matches. Like, that is part of it. Like, I know that from a programming standpoint, for me, like, I'm always trying to find matchups that look entertaining on the table, and giving that like choice and control to the chat was just a really fun twist, and it did create those like, oh man, you can feel the chat either rooting for somebody or trying to be like, well, we kind of want this to happen. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I have seen a couple requests out there asking, like, will we ever get, for the GSP Showdown, like, other guest commentators? I'm planning on it. I just wanted, like, the GSP Showdown, the first one was a beta test, right? It was like, is there enough interest in this to continue pursuing it? And if so, then we can continue to start to expand it. Then, yeah, I love me some Asa. I got a couple. We got a couple of, aces out there who I really like their commentary, who are part of our. We actually have an official GSP stream team. We were talking about this on our GSP Showdown. Like, we had flights booked, hotels for a bunch of events coming up where I was flying in commentators with me, and no, obviously. So we'll see what we can manage, but we'll definitely have some guest commentators. It'll be interesting for the when it's not just us 4. When there are when we're doing 4 other players, I'll have to get commentary for them. That way, those other the non GSP members can have some time to walk around their house and pay attention to their families between games. But yeah, it was great. And let's go ahead and start into our next topic, and that was the announcements that happened during a stream that would have happened at Adepticon. They were planning on live streaming and announcing some stuff. There wasn't too much brand new X-Wing stuff, but there was some. Let's go ahead and talk about it, speculate on it, and of course, we don't know anything about the points, so we'll just talk about whether they're good or bad in general. Maybe we can guess, do we think it's going to be expensive or not? And we'll find out. Let's go ahead and head over to that. Oops. All right. Well, there it is. Okay. Took a second to turn on. So let's go ahead and start right here. We have Gideon Hask in the how do they pronounce it? The Z shuttle? I was thinking how.
Yeah, pronounce it with a Z, just as Z class.
Z class shuttle.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. What's going on here? What do we have on this card?
So we got Gideon Hask, the merciless hardliner at I4. We know the full action bar as focus, red target lock, red coordinate, and white jam. His special ability is wow you or a friendly small ship at range 0 to 2 performs a primary attack against a damaged defender. If the attacker rolled 2 or fewer attack dice, it may gain 1 strain to roll 1 additional attack dice. So somewhat similar to his TIE Fighter ability, being when someone's damaged, he can add attack die just for himself. Him being a more veteran and commanding officer now is giving it to his friends from the shuttle.
Seems solid. Like, let's talk about thematically here, though. By the way, spoilers for Battlefront 2. Here's your chance. Like, cover your ears for 30 seconds or fast forward. So Gideon Hask, if I'm remembering correctly, doesn't he flip over to the Rebellion with Sen? Am I forgetting that? Who is it? Or is it just?
It's just.
It's just Iden.
Iden and Del Mico.
Okay, got the names twisted.
Yep.
All right.
No, Gideon Hask is very first order. He big bad.
All right, big bad. All right, just checking. All right, I had those names mixed up.
Spoiler alert.
I gave the spoiler alert. I gave it.
now I know the story. I only got past like the half of the first mission. I didn't even get out the prison yet.
Well, there you go. You're welcome. All right, so that's that. Let's talk about this chassis in general. Now that we have its full action bar, what do we think? Obviously, it's not an Upsilon shuttle. It's meant to be more of a support piece. Do we think we're going to see some play of this in the First Order?
Yeah, I don't think why not. It's a medium base. There's how many? I think this is only the second medium base that the Empire gets.
No, this is the first order.
This is for
The first order.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking this was Empire.
No, Gideon Hask is very old when he's flying this.
Gotcha. Okay, then definitely yes, you're going to see a lot of play because it's their first medium base, and with as many TIE FOs that being costed the way that they are, and the TIE SFs as well. There's a lot of 2 dice guns out there that this particular ship can support, and then I'm assuming some of the other ships will also be in that support role. So I think you'll get it, especially if it's costed pretty well. As far as health wise, I mean it's really only 1 health more than a TIE SF. So survivability, it's not the big tanks that you get with the Upsilon, but it's survivable enough with what you got, right? It's 1 extra haul than a regular SF, so it's not going to be on the table forever.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think probably when you end up building it out, it's going to have to be some type of balance between like making it useful enough so that it's worth being in your squad, but you don't want it too expensive because I'm assuming that it's not going to be super maneuverable either. Maybe more than an Upsilon. But I mean, Upsilon overall is pretty maneuverable, but probably no K-turns, right?
Yeah, I was checking on its dial from the article, and it's got red stop and red hard 3s. It does not have a 5 forward, but it's got everything else. And its blues are 1 and 2 bank, 1 and 2 forward. So 6 blues, has a 4 forward, has a white hard turn. I mean, that's not terrible.
All right. So might see some play. Let's go ahead and head on to our next snapshot.
One quick thing before this.
Go for it.
So, I think you're definitely right that there's going to be a balance. Like, this thing could be pretty cheap from most of the shuttles we've seen. Like, a Lambda right now is 43 points. Now, granted, it has a much worse dial, but that thing has 3 front, 2 back, much more health overall. Granted, only 1 agility, but it's got stuff like reinforce and has a white coordinate. The fact that this ship has a red coordinate is a big deal. You'd have to invest 6 points into tactical officer. Most people assume this thing's going to have 2 crew. I think the points spent on these things are going to come from what the upgrades you put on it or the pilots that are flying it. These abilities are going to make these ships go. The base chassis itself likely won't be enough.
Yes, so I got a question. Just wild predictions before we move on.
Yeah.
Marcel, I think, brought up a great point of comparing it to a TIE SF. Okay. TISFs have one less hull, I believe. Well, one less health.
One less health.
All around, yeah.
And an extra arc.
Yeah, and a rear arc on top of it. Plus, it has white lock and white evade and a barrel roll. Right? So, it feels like just statistically the SF is better, but it doesn't have coordinate and jam, right? I think jam for evade's even, right?
This is going to be a crew carrier. I mean, it's a sport ship. It's where you're going to put your Phasma.
Sure. I understand that, but
Anison. So
they do have an I2 generic. What's your just an easy over under? More or less expensive than an SF?
I'd say more. I think we're going to see it over 33 because that's the 6 of these can go in a list type thing line. So 34. Just because the opportunity cost to take the crew that I think is very powerful and will be the first crew carrier in hyperspace for the First Order that can now start using those crews. One sneaky thing that someone told me about with Gideon is depending on how many First Order provocateurs you can fly with him, you could take the deplete on those provocateurs, keep your agility, and then if you have a damaged ship shooting back, they can get their attack up back to 3 with this Gideon ability by taking the strain.
Oh, yeah. Very true, very true. Because it's the same as his TIE Fighter ability, right? Same idea.
Yeah, as long as they're shooting at something that's damaged, they can take a strain. So basically, by the end of the shooting and everything, that provocateur, since you're planning on it shooting after the opposing ships, you just take the deplete, count on Gideon to bump you back up to 3 dice. 4 if you're at range 1, obviously. Well, no, so Gideon won't work on range 1 bonuses though. So if you have a 2 dice shot at range 1, you can't make that better. So it matters how many dice you roll.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll see where that ends up. Very cool. Love seeing new ships. Next one here, staying here on the First Order, is we discovered what the backside of Agent Trex is, and it turns out Terex, excuse me. I was not familiar with his story. Apparently, is he from the comic books? Do we know? Is that confirmed? Maybe somebody in the chat knows.
According to FFG, he was in the Poe comics.
The Poe comics. All right. But so it turns out he's a droid. Will, go ahead and read down the droid side, the flipped over side.
Oh man, I'm gonna squint. It says during the system phase, roll 1 attack die. On a hit or crit result, gain 1 calculate token. Otherwise, gain 1 jam. I can see it. You don't gotta mess with it. So before, and there's one more part, but just for reference, that's a 50-50 decision. Then you're either going to get a calculate or you're going to get a jam. And that's not a may. You have to do that.
Yeah.
And then it says action transfer 1 calculate token or 1 jam token to a ship at range 0 to 3. This is going to be like the premier crew on this. Right?
Straight jam bully.
Yeah, because you either take the jam, okay, and then use your action to jam somebody range 3, or guess what? You don't need tokens because you're coordinating anyways. But if you get the calculate token, same thing. You can just save it so you have a modifier when you coordinate, or if you don't want to stress yourself. Or need to coordinate range 3, you could sling that calculate instead. So it feels just a straight upgrade to the base chassis, 100%.
That seems like a strong card. That side, at least, it seems really, really good. What do you think, Ryan? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marcel. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, I think, I mean, it's really good. I think it's good to the point where you're just tossing those 3 calculates, starting turn 1 to try to get to the cyborg as soon as possible.
So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and we'll talk about the front side here. So it says, during setup, equip this side face up and place 3 calculate tokens on this card. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 and remove 1 calculate token from this card to have that ship gain a matching token. Then, if there are no calculate tokens on this card, flip it. So it's gonna take 3 turns to get to the cyborg side, but I mean that seems if you want the if you want the cyborg side, is that what you're looking for? I think it's pretty easy to quote unquote waste or use 3 turns to get to that side. What are your thoughts on this, Ryan?
So while I do definitely like the cyborg side, action to jam at range 0 to 3 is ridiculously powerful.
It's huge.
And the fact that you either can do that or just at the start at the system phase just say, I have a force, and if I need to action to give someone else a force, like cool, if I end up getting calculated instead of the jam. But don't discount the fact that his front side I think is also really powerful. He for 3 turns says, I get to choose any of my friendly ships at range 0 to 3, and they get a force for that engagement phase by giving them a calculate to use. So yeah, you could run through it if you want, kind of like how Chopper does if you want to make him erratic. We've seen that been used that way already. But I think Agent Terex's front side is just as powerful. We know Force is really good. Even just ending, if Jedi ends their activation phase using, like Plo Koon uses a Force to use FTC and then takes an action, like still having that 1 force left plus your other mod that you decide to take is really powerful. And this is the same situation, except you can pick any ship in the worst possible position when you know where all the ships have finally landed, because it's start of engagement phase, and give it a calculate.
Very cool. Very cool. I like it. Any other thoughts we have on this, gentlemen, before we move on to the next one?
Oh man, this is gonna be an expensive card.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking like what, 14 points maybe?
That's
12 to 14 at least, right?
Should probably be like Leia expensive, like Resistance Leia expensive.
Yeah, she's what, down to 17 these days?
Yeah, I think so.
She's got 2 crew slots though.
So let's go ahead and talk about this. So Supreme Leader Snoke is the most expensive currently at 13 points. Are we saying just like absolutely over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I would, with my mindset of balance competitively, it should be over. If it's not double digits, we have a big problem. At least.
At least for 6 months.
Yes.
All right, we'll find out. How about people in the chat? Let me know, over or under 13. We'll use Snoke as that pivot point. What do you think, over or under?
Yeah, it's got to be over because as good as that force is, if you think, especially in extended, where having the ability to potentially jam a ship at range 0 to 3 every single turn, it's just it's pretty powerful. And you get to do that. I think there's an Initiative 5 version of this ship, and
there is an Initiative 5.
Yeah, so if you at Initiative 5, you get to choose to jam somebody at basically range 0 to 3. It's just super powerful. So ships like Sunterfell, Vader. No, I mean not Tomorrow Vader. He's got force, but ships like AC ships that want to not die are gonna struggle with this really bad.
All right. Well, we'll see what ends up happening. And we have a couple of great points in the chat. Nomish Incan actually saying they think under, mostly because they say FFG always undercosts good upgrades on initial release. I mean, that, yes and no. We've seen them on both sides of it, but I could definitely see, because it is a new release, maybe it's going to be a little bit under at first so that it sees play. But we'll find out. They're going to learn. If it's too cheap, they're going to learn real quick that it was too cheap. We'll find out. All right, let's move over to the Republic. The Republic, we got to finally see the full text for this fire convergence. Marcel, go ahead and read me a bedtime story.
Sure. The fire convergence. We're talking about just the ship or the whole.
Just the ship chassis, and then we'll go through all the other stuff.
So it's the fire convergence says while a friendly ship performs a non-rotating arc attack, if the defender is in your rotating arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, the attacker re-rolls up to 2 attack dice. So it's essentially giving you have 2. I'll just go through it. It has the ship has a 2-sided rotating arc, 1 agility, 8 hull, 2 shields, and 2 recurring charges. So that means that every turn it can allow somebody to re-roll up to 2 dice as long as you have the arc on it. And in a given turn, if you haven't used your charges, you can use it twice in a turn. And it says. Now, this is the question I have. It says, while a friendly ship performs a Okay, so
it doesn't work on other lats.
So it doesn't work on other lats, and it won't work on the A-Wings.
No.
So it'll work on...
Jedi, Naboo starfighters, and the V-19 Torrents.
Republic. Gotcha.
Republic, yeah.
So it works on everything except
them.
Or the Y-Wings.
Y-Wings
they have
turret.
A turret, yeah.
ARC 170s as well.
The ARC 170.
Why
no, ARC 170s don't have a turret. They have a gunner slot for the rear arc, but no turret.
Yeah, they got a front and rear arc, but no turret.
Yeah. And of course, we're talking about the primary. Yes, if the lat has missiles or something like that, it could work as well.
Yeah,
Be careful of barrage rockets and these guys in groups. If you thought Jonas was good on 6 health, 2 agility TIE fighters that have no shields and no easy, like this is that ability on the base chassis alone makes these should be more expensive.
So, question: do we know already that they have 2 missile slots? Have they shown that?
They do have the card multi-missile pod in their pack,
which has 2.
So, and that does have 2 missiles for it.
Wow. Okay, so you can have maybe 3 or 4 of these shooting barrage rockets and re-rolling 2 of them, no matter which one is shooting, allowing the other one to re-roll.
Now I originally thought that these guys could like point their arcs to the side and maybe have to point to the friends, but you actually have to point them to the defender. So you're not like the K-Wings where you can point them to the side and have the barrage forward and cover a large area. You're pointing likely the arc forward, the barrage is forward, but now you don't have that gap at range 1 where ships can close in and not be shot at.
Here's a question. It says while a friendly ship performs a non-rotating arc, it doesn't say while another. So does that mean...
No, it definitely works on your own missiles.
Yeah, 100%. So if you're shooting your own missile and you're in your own arc, then you get to re-roll your own dice.
Well, you're not in your arc. The defender is.
Yeah, the defender is in your arc because you're pointing...
Because you're shooting at it.
You've got your rotating arc.
Yeah, it sure does.
Rocket forward.
No, you don't need multiples.
Self-sufficient double modded attacks? Oh, no.
I mean... in extended for a very expensive cost, I assume.
Yeah,
I doubt you could fit 5
barrage
of those
rockets are
in
8.
one list.
Yeah, barrage rockets are 8. Yeah, you better not be able to fit 5 of these with barrage rockets.
Oh my god,
so dumb.
No wait, yes, sell them all. Sell.
Oh,
I mean that is not. It will be nice though because you won't have to spend your lock, which could be interesting. There's synchronized.
You don't need a lock. Yeah, you just focus.
Well, no, I'm talking for non-outrageous things. For regular things, could these be a candidate for synchronized consoles because they could pass off these locks then to other people?
So synchronized console, for anybody who doesn't remember what that is, requires a target lock, Republic only. It says after you perform an attack, you may choose a friendly ship at range 1 or a friendly ship with a synchronized console upgrade at range 1 to 3 and spend your lock you have on the defender. If you do, the friendly ship you choose may acquire a lock on the defender. So you're yeeting your target locks to your buddies.
So you're saying, Will, that as long as one of these guys gets a lock with, say, a missile that requires a lock, they can just pass that around and use their own charges to get your rerolls.
Well, I mean, yes. But I'm saying just so because they're self-sufficient, you shoot, you reroll your 2 attack dice, and then you take your target lock action and you just give it to somebody else. So now you've modified your own attack dice and you've coordinated a target lock to somebody.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Because they don't need their own target lock. They got them fire convergence. Or what is it?
Fire convergence, yep.
Yeah, convergence.
All right.
No, this is interesting.
How many of these do you think you'll be able to fit in a list? We'll start naked. 4?
5.
5?
Please
naked.
only be 4. Please only be 4.
All right, here we go. We're gonna put the line. We're gonna put the line right now, and I'll make a quick poll. Let me go ahead and sorry, it's gonna disturb the picture here for a second. We'll put the line at 4.5. Let's see, 4.5, and we'll go over or under. How many do you think they'll be able to put in a list? Go ahead. 1 is the over, 2 is the under. So it's all just looking at the looking at the chassis. It seems really powerful. Of course, you go ahead and compare it to something like an ARC 170 that has 9 health, 3 front dice, 2 back dice. Is set at 43 points.
Yeah, and it's got reinforced on top of that.
Right,
Has red one, but yes, for sure, still worth having if it's on the bar.
Now, Now, do you think
if you're gonna die anyways? What's that stress mean?
Yeah, not only that, if you get your own, I mean,
if you get your own rerolls, what does any of your actions mean?
what is real life? All right. So 43 points put it compared, like the ARC 170 is 43 points, which means you can only put 3 of them in the list. Excuse me, 4 of them in the list.
Take off synchronized council.
Oh, sorry.
41.
41 points, excuse
Correct.
me. Or 42. So, do we really think that they're going to be that few points cheaper each? Would be 2 points cheaper each in order to fit 40 points for the cheapest one?
There's no way. These things are not the same value as an X-Wing. These are way better.
Yeah, these things are up in the 46.
I was gonna compare it to a Reaper, but Reapers have only a front arc. Granted, it's 3. They have a pretty good ship ability, which is free boost. We all know boosting's good. But they have 2 less health. And I think that's going to be the tipping point. These things are 10 health. So, I could see them. You're probably going to be at least 44?
I would get close to like 47, 48. Because, again, the reroll, just the ability to reroll. Think about in the Empire, the TIE Fighter.
Hull Runner?
Yeah, Hull Runner. Just that's one, or Janus or Jonas, or they give you that reroll. They give everyone else a reroll, and it bumps it up. Same thing with Drea for Scum. Drea gives other people 1 reroll as long as they're in her arc, and William, you flew that for a while with early on. And you saw how much.
But Drea didn't have 2 charges and 1 recurring. That's for sure.
True, but she was only. They were only re-rolling 1, and she's not as tanky as this.
No,
she's not as tanky as this. They're only re-rolling 1, and this one allows you to re-roll 2. So
her turret wasn't range 3 either. So
correct.
I could see it. Yeah.
She doesn't have to be the one shooting, or they don't have to. They can just be flanking with their arcs pointed to the side, and just letting using their ability for other people.
Yeah, the fact that fire convergence is on every one of these chassis is a big deal. It's not like this is a reroll to help yourself and friendly ships with just 1 named pilot. Yeah. So and it's not just like 2 charges to spend the entire game. These are 2 charges allotted at the beginning of the game, and you get 1 back every turn with a rotating double arc. So if stuff starts to go to your side, you can still point them at the side. If you're not, if you don't have missiles for yourself. I mean, we've seen very efficient 2 attack dice can whittle down ships still pretty well. So even just supporting their own 2-die attack, if they don't give the reroll to their friendly ships already, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, see, I think I'm gonna have to argue with you, Ryan, because you were saying that you're gonna slap this thing forward arc and put it behind your like formation, right? Like behind a bunch of torrents or whatever you're trying to do.
Oh no,
right?
it was just a thought with like the barrage rocket.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying there now, but like I think that we're gonna see this just go off flanking, if that and just leave it on the side arc, because they could be on the opposite side of the board as long as that enemy is in their arc. They still get the reroll. So I don't know.
So is the weakness of this ship the fact that it has 1 agility and they're probably going to burn up pretty quick?
Man, I mean, would you rather shoot? So let's say we get into we get into a world where 2 Jedi and 1 of these with some either special ability pilot or maybe a nice crew upgrade card get put into these, and this becomes like the Palp Aces or the Jedi Aces with the support shuttle. Like this thing
could be Palp Aces.
Yeah, like this,
literally.
This thing still seems like it would give a difficult target priority to go after, because this thing still is really valuable by itself.
And it's still just like Palp Aces. It still has the reinforce and the 2 arcs, double arcs, and the even if it's a red reinforce.
Yeah.
As you're making people expend a lot of shots to kill it, while you have 2 aces dropping a lot of damage, and with force and native rerolls, so they don't have to spend their actions on target locks. Yeah, it's gonna be super solid.
All right, well, great discussion on that, guys. Great discussion. Let's go to the next slide here. So we have one of the cards that are going to be in the pack. It's a crew and gunner card. Requires Republic, and you must have a rotating arc. So this cannot be put on the Arc 170, essentially. So it's Ghost Company. It is unique, and it gives you rotate, link into focus. Which, if we go back really quickly to our other one, you see that it had the rotating arc there, but no linked actions. This gives you that linked action focus, as well as the ability, which reads, after you perform a primary attack, if you are focused, you may perform a turret attack against a ship you have not attacked this round as a bonus attack. What do you think, Marcel?
It's
Bistan, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like Bistan. It's not quite veteran turret gunner, because you can shoot out of the same turret arc. You just you're shooting a different ship, so it's a little bit better than veteran turret gunner. Bistan is what, 14, I think, and veteran turret gunner is 8. So that's probably, and this also gives you a linked action, so it'll probably hover there around 12 points, I think. And it's solid, very solid. I mean, now going back to that support ship, and it's also, you have 2 ships plus this one, and now it's shooting twice a turn. That gives you 4 shots in one, or the potential up to 4 shots in a turn. So yeah, it's super powerful.
So I went ahead and put Bistan next to it. You can see that a lot of that text is the same.
It's as if you are focused. This one says you don't have to be focused on this one. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing, actually. If
it's exactly the same thing. You may perform a turret attack against a ship you have not attacked this round. And it says as a bonus attack. They just made sure to actually have the bonus attack wording on here. The difference is the upgrade requirements and the linked action, and of course it's going to be in a different faction.
So being that Bistan is 14, do you think Ghost Company's also going to be 14, or do you think because it's new and they want to play it?
I want to counterpoint that, Marcel, with you can put Bistan on a 4 dice YT 2400. The Ghost Company can only go on the 2 dice lat or R2D2.
R2D2 Y-Wing, baby. Here we go.
Crew gunner, right? And a turret?
Yep.
Yeah.
So our R2D2's piloting it. It doesn't have an astromech slot. It's got gunner crew. Just have Ghost Company fly the Y-Wing with R2.
R2D2 meta incoming.
But, of course. But, I mean, like, so Bistan for, like, Falcons and, like I said, the 2400 can roll a lot more dice with that extra bonus attack, where I don't see Ghost Company rolling too much more dice with that. Certainly not 4 or 3 at long range.
Cool.
So I'm going to have to say a lot less.
I want to know about a lot less, but somewhere in between, because again, veteran turret gunner.
Between 10 and 14, right?
Yeah, so it's maybe 10 to 12. I mean, because that is a good point. But yeah,
I do want to bring up it has a linked action, and we were talking about the red stress before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their blues are terrible. They have 1 forward blue and 2 forward blue.
And
that's right.
it.
They have Y-Wing, Republic Y-Wing blues.
And as far as we know, no access to astromech slot. So they're not making that any better.
Nope. But, I mean, you have that. You have a rotating turret. So if you're not bringing it as a missile platform, you have the opportunity to at least, 1 forward, rotate your arc where you got to put it. You get a focus.
I mean,
it's not great. It's predictable, but I'm saying you got the option.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was in the spread for the... if we're talking about linked actions given by upgrade cards, in the spread of the original article, now knowing for sure, without having to squint super hard at what fire convergence does, and thinking about this as a support craft, Ayla Secura has focus linked to purple coordinate. So, yay. And some bunch of text in there I can't read because it's super tiny right now. But immediately when I saw Ghost Company, I was like, this looks with fire convergence, because you can reroll if you need on some, if you can keep the focus and try and shoot again, or just go for the better modded attack. And then I was like, all right, well, what kind of blues are we looking at? Oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, that as far as we can see, it's going to come with a couple force crew being Ayla, Secure, and Kit Fisto. Can't really tell what Kit Fisto does beyond just giving it a purple evade in a single force. But that purple focus linked to a purple coordinate, yeah, I'll take that.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. Any other thoughts on this before we move on? All right, let's do it. So now we are into the Separatist realm. We got to see what networked aim is. And my first initial thought, we'll read it here in a second, is the fact that it's not network calculations, right? It's you're like, oh, well, Ryan with his thumbs down. DOA, just kidding. We'll see. Networked aims is you cannot spend your locks to reroll attack dice. Period. While you perform an attack, you may re-roll a number of attack dice up to the number of locks on the defender. So one of the problems I have with this, not necessarily problems, but comparing it to network calculations. Network calculations is the definition of flexibility. Networked aim is the complete opposite. It's let's go ahead and put locks all on this one thing. Now, mind you, if they have one really big target that you're going after, great. I think in Epic, this will be an epic ship destroyer, right? You bring a couple of these, you'll be fine. But in extended or hyperspace, I'm a little worried about this. Unless you're bringing multiple of them, or you have a lot of locks out there, maybe with a bunch of vultures with dank
if
droids.
only the Separatists had an easy way to acquire locks from long range.
Yeah, the DRKs, yes, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, you got the DRK droids, but at the same time, you have to. So I mean, do we think that these can carry DRK droids? Can they? Do you remember?
They have delayed fuses and a bomb in their expansion.
Okay, so
there is at least one chassis with them. They did say at Adepticon these are going to be similar to Hyenas. They are going to be specific per ship pilot or type of bomber in their loadout.
Okay.
Right. We can assume that one has bombs, one has a single missile, one has double missile, and maybe one has a cannon or whatever that other upgrade is that it comes with. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Is that it can at least one of them should be able to carry the probe droids, which would be pretty good. But then again, though, it only has 2 attack dice natively, so I don't really want to, I'm not too worried about that it can't spend locks. Because you're not going to be, basically their ability says, you have fire control system. Congratulations.
Right. Absolutely.
That's fine. You don't have to pay points for a fire control system? Okay.
Now, just quick question. Network calculations. I'm having a bit of a brain. Let me go ahead and answer my own question. You guys go ahead, talk while I look up what my question is.
So, actually, after the showdown, me and Will were on for a little bit and had a pretty lengthy discussion, even further about this ship and our thoughts and things that we're looking for. Because network game is much more limiting, just for the base fact that calculating is an action you can just, for those droids, you can just always take. Target lock, you have to have a viable target to take the lock on that you're going to want to shoot, aka an opposing ship. So almost in any case that if you want to bring a gunship that you want to make viable for shooting and utilize its ability, you are bringing Dark One probe droids or the future card we're going to talk about. It also doesn't help any friendly ships, though. It's all about helping itself.
This selfish droid.
Yeah.
God.
So if other vultures take locks, sure, that's helping you, but it doesn't help them at all.
Well, so here is the one place it does help them, which is what I was looking for. If they have the target lock set up already, they can. The vultures and the hyenas can use the calculate from the separatist predators, these the droid gunships, but just not the other way around because of how network calculations is worded.
Yes, that is true.
So maybe they help a little bit. Of course, then you're forcing them to be at range 0 to 1, and I believe, heard that these are going to move kind of funny. So we'll see.
I mean, my only thoughts on you're bashing it pretty hard, but these do range from I3 to I1, right? And that's about the range you're going to fly hyenas or vultures in anyways. Mm-hmm. So these could, in theory, just shoot first and then use the rerolls from whoever took a target lock, and then they could just use the lock themselves. So it's not like they're stealing the lock from their friendlies.
Yes,
in fact,
that is very true.
Right? It is very symbiotic, right? Like this thing calculates, but the vulture ends up with the target lock, right? So it gets a reroll, but then the vulture could use its calculate, right? So I think it's still going to be very symbiotic between the robots or droids, I guess they're called.
I think there'll still be a place for it. Network game has me cautious about how much we're going to see it, just because of there's some synergy with it, but it requires more to be asked for from the rest of the list in terms of either you need to get the right locks with Dark One Pro droids or take as much advantage of the next upgrade card as possible.
Cool. Marcel, any thoughts on this one? I know you've been kind of quiet on this one.
No, not really. I had the same thought that William had, that they're not really, they're not really taking anything away from the other ships as long as they shoot first. But similar to the, actually not so much similar, but I think one of the things that's going to set these apart is not going to be the generics. It's probably going to be the named pilots, and see what kind of support they provide for the other drones. So I think more than anything, it'll probably it'll be very dependent on unique pilot abilities, unique droid abilities for these guys, I think.
Pretty cool. And one thing I do want to point out, with being able to use its calculate for other things that have network calculations, it does have that reload to red calculate. So there are situations where if it needs to reload some of its missiles, of course it does gain that disarm token, but it will have a calculate out there available for it to use. So pretty interesting. Of course, we'll see how it goes. And Marcel, I do agree. I'm curious to see what those unique pilots are going to be. All right, I think we had one more slide for this one. Yes, Kalani. This is the new tactical relay droid. Ryan, go ahead and read this one down for me.
So Kalani it gives the ship that it's equipped on a calculate action if it doesn't already have one. It's got 3 charges, all 3 arrows pointing up. So basically every turn, this card can be used for all 3 of its charges. The developers mentioned that they tried it unlimited and they found it pretty oppressive. So theoretically, this must be pretty good. After an enemy ship executes a maneuver, if it is in the bullseye of a friendly ship at range 0 to 3, you may spend a charge. If you do, that friendly ship acquires a lock on the enemy ship, then gains a stress token. So it's not doing a lock action, and it doesn't. So that also means if it's already stressed, it could gain a second one to still do this.
That seems pretty strong. Got a lot of times these vultures, at least in the initial movements, they're low initiative, right? They're no initiative. They could have those bullseyes already out there, and they kind of ride in a block. You have a large or a medium base ship roll up to this, you're going to have it locked all over the place.
Yeah, that's crazy that you get all 3 charges back every turn. Yeah, that's pretty wild. And this is the first time they do multiple recharge in one, right? Multiple arrows.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to the reroll of the other ships that we were just talking about. That as long as the droids that are moving first are just calculating and they're not stressing themselves, that it doesn't really change a whole lot of things of what you're going to do. But you still get your target locks, you get your calculates, and that ship still gets its ability triggered as well.
Very cool, very cool. Any other thoughts on Kalani, Will?
This is going to be pretty interesting. We're so used to, or I would say I'm so used to thinking about separatist and calculates because of network calculations. It's always been about the calculates, Discord missiles calculates, energy shell charge calculates. So this is going to be a new way of thinking that we're focusing on locks, and it would be weird to see it. But like these, specifically talking about the new ships, the gun ship, it only has 1 agility, so it's not like it really needs those calculates for defense or anything. So I think this could be very, very powerful. And I just noticed that the gunships have a hard 2 blue. Wow, separatists killing it with their hard 2 blues. I don't understand, but
they gotta keep the robots together.
I guess
keep
they all
the
have
formation.
One. It's crazy.
Yep. And I think, I know a lot of people's reaction is that, wow, it recharges 3 charges every turn. I think more it's just making forcing you to limit it to be 3 times a turn more than just the recharge. It's just using that function.
I think the developers were probably referencing somebody who got 7 vultures plus Kalani to all point their bullseyes at a large base who was clearly just going to bump into the first vulture. You know what I mean?
And make them super sad.
Yeah, so then all 6 or all 7 vultures, maybe even though ship Kalani's being carried on. So basically, everybody in your whole list gets a red target lock because you blocked a large base. Like that,
Yep.
I could see as crazy action economy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think versus like small base ships, normal fights, if you get 3 per round, that's pretty impressive.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's fair. And also with this, just the techno bombers with plasmas and protons will I mean, they're already good, and people are already using plasmas and protons on the bombers, and this will just make it that much easier, or it'll make it that much worse.
Yeah, it's definitely a tactical relay that punishes ships for attempting to go in front of your swarm at all. Even because even further, because it threatens the, well, if you get blocked and you land in a bunch of bullseyes, well, that really hurts. Or if you even like land in a few of them, I mean, any free actions are going to be punishing for the opponent to deal with in this case.
Wait, am I missing something? This has nothing to do with droids, correct?
It does not.
Really?
So you can do it with the
With
Nantex.
Darth Maul?
Yup.
Nantex?
Oh, the Nantex doesn't have a base lock action. Doesn't mean it can't acquire a lock.
Yep. Like,
Acquire.
look at this lock I just found.
Oof. And that's...
But the Nantex is not a
interesting.
fan of being stressed.
No,
True.
that's true. It's mostly a turret, though. It could figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my final thought. Is it says nothing about that ship has to be anything, just friendly.
Yeah, usually these tactical relays require some semblance of using a calculate to do said thing. This one does not at all.
I think Sunfac would be willing to take the risk. Like, I'll take this lock.
Oh man, Sunfac. What he would do for a target lock action.
All right. And last but not least, the last announcement they put out there, let me go ahead and resize this because I zoomed in. They were talking about the release of Aces packs. If you were around during first edition, there was a couple of box sets where FFG packaged 2 ships that had already been released, but they had new pilots in it and with different paint jobs on the ships. And just kind of the notes they put here, the first couple they're going to do are Republic, Ace-style squadron packs alongside new ships for Republic and Separatists. So this is going to be for the original, or the OG factions. Contain previously released ships with new paint schemes, feature totally new pilots and upgrades for established factions, and also include new versions of iconic pilots from across the Star Wars galaxy. So starting to flex that subtitle that we have. So we might have, Poe Dameron, the trigger happy flyboy, but we could have Poe Dameron, the rebellion commander. The more responsible one. All right, or the disgraced pilot from The Last Jedi. You have a bunch of different options there. But the first pack that they did say they were going to release, I think, was Resistance, right?
Yep, they did say Resistance mainly because of the last movie, Episode 9.
Yep. So, I mean, we could probably guess it's going to be the orange T-70 X-Wing, right? And something else?
Oh, I think they actually just said, like, oh, yeah, there's definitely going to be an orange-colored ship in there.
Thank you for telling us half the pack.
Yeah.
Thank you for the blessings in the chat, by the way.
What's the other ship in that? What's your guesses on that? Is it the A-Wing? Do we really need more A-Wing pilots?
Probably not.
Is it just 2 X-Wings?
Lando Falcon?
The Episode 8 Falcon got a old dish back.
We need another one with the new dish.
Well, to be fair, they are currently not selling a Resistance Falcon for second edition. Am I wrong about
true.
that?
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
They usually just do small. I mean, you're talking Aces, and they usually just do small.
Yeah,
I think it'll be Fireball, probably just the T-70 and the Fireball.
But they didn't.
No.
They did an Aces pack. The first one where it was Rey and a
was
Falcon.
Heroes.
Yeah, Heroes of the Resistance with the black one Poe. So we could definitely see an orange T-70 Poe, a Lando Falcon. Got to have that wedge gunner.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the Y-Wing. I want to get Zori Bliss in the game.
I can see that as a separate
Yeah, so that's
pack.
a new ship, though. Yeah, that's a new ship.
True.
I was
True.
going to ask you guys. I'll let you know what mine are, just so I could take it before you could say it. But
Okay.
also to give you some time to think. What would be your preferred Aces style pack for obviously the older factions, the ones? Mine is going to be the Z95 and A-Wing for Rebels. I want that Hera. I want a couple different, their names escape me, but we need more than just Kraken and Blump in my Z95s. Let's get Hera in that A-Wing. Oh man, what Hera's ability would do on an A-Wing.
I'll jump in here. I'm gonna say X-Wing, because we can also get Hera in an X-Wing. We need more Hera all the
Need
time.
more Hera.
And I'll take an A-Wing too. X-Wing and an A-Wing is what I would do for the Rebellion. Get Sabine in an A-Wing.
I want E-Wing and an A-Wing.
Ryan, what would you do for the Rebellion?
So as much as like I normally play Rebels over Empire, you gotta get those Carnor Jax fans back. Get them interceptors, and let's do a TIE interceptor and a, I don't know. But yeah, totally TIE interceptor because minor spoiler. Have you guys all finished Fallen Order?
No,
Yeah.
don't do it. Don't do
All right.
it. Yeah. Marcel's currently playing it, and I haven't gotten past Kashyyyk.
There's a pilot. So interceptor and some other TIE. I don't care what.
Shazbot GG.
Alpha class Starwing.
Yes! Gumbos!
No more gunboats.
Gumbos, yes!
No, you know what? Let's make all the fanboys as crazy as possible. Let's do TIE Interceptor and TIE Defender, so we can put Merrick Steele back in the TIE Defender and Darth Vader.
And Darth Vader, oh my
Dude,
god. You're 120.
150 point Darth Vader Defender. Bring it on.
Jeez. Love it.
Supernatural Defender Darth
He
Vader.
doesn't have to have the same ability, please God, no.
No, let him.
They're gonna sit in their meeting going like, we could either just copy paste this or think of a new one. Copy paste it. We'll let the players figure it.
Yeah, I'm immune to gas clouds. Yeah, bring it.
By the way, shout out to Shazbot GG. That's one of our boys, Gold Squadron guys. I love you, Brandon. I miss you, buddy. Anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be exciting, and we'll see what comes of it when they actually start releasing stuff. And that's the other thing, right? We have Adepticon is the next big place where they usually have announced new stuff. And with all of the social distancing and cancellations and delays, I'm curious to see how all of this is going to impact what we are used to seeing at Gen Con when they reveal, big things for X-Wing. We've gotten big reveals every year, but we'll see. So I will tell you that this discussion actually took longer than I anticipated when I wrote the notes. So I had a bunch of lists of the week things that we could do. So let's go ahead. We'll do a couple of the lists of the weeks because at first I actually posted in our Discord saying, "Hey, we don't have any lists of the week." But I was panicking because I thought we needed it. And
Dion, have you ever given us new ships before?
Giving
Do
you
you
new
remember-
ships?
No, I mean like talked about new ships. Remember those episodes where like, oh yeah, we're gonna run down all the new faction cards that got spoiled for second edition.
I guess
And
you're right.
We got about halfway through just scum one episode.
I failed. That's put it that way.
No,
It's
you're doing a great job.
All right. Before I forget though, I need to reveal. We don't do these every week, but we have a meme of the week this week, and I love it. Let me go ahead and find it. I lost the channel. Why am I not seeing this? Submissions. Where is the submissions? Submission. Oh, I closed the tab. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and flip over it. Meme of the week right there. It's just Finn yelling Ray, and it gives you a red jam. Yes. Perfect. It's perfect.
I don't get it.
We're done. No, if you don't know, you don't know. That's how memes work, right? It's like if you need to explain them, that's it. Let's go ahead and do our list of the week here real quick. It looks like Marcel, Will, and Ryan are ready to go, so we'll skip one of them, mine, just to not waste the time here. So we start with Captain Sebastian had submitted an Empire squad and said, "This was my Adepticon list, and let me know what you think." So we have Darth Vader with just passive sensors, Merrick Steele with just passive sensors, Vermeil with intimidation, and Gideon Hask naked. In the prompt, they mentioned that Vermeil is usually coordinating in order to stay slow, and usually giving a focus to Merrick to get those double modified shots. And between Vader and Merrick shooting, there's usually no tokens out there, so that Vermeil's ability also triggers. All right. This is Ryan, I think, picked this one. What you gonna do, Ryan?
So I like it in theory overall. I think Vader. This kind of harkens back to an old archetype from the first batch of second edition format we had. That was a 4-ship with Vader, Vermeil, Gideon, and a 4th ship. Normally was a type of striker. But I think if you're getting the coordinates on Merrick, I definitely see the viability of it. I've never been a big believer in Merrick myself.
You don't believe?
It's rough, man. I've seen him die so much. So while I understand the coordinating to maintain a slower speed with Vermeil, to moderately stay together, or not super tight formation, but close enough to where Vermeil is getting too far ahead, I think it's still valuable to coordinate any of your ships. It doesn't have to be just Merrick. So I guess my version of the list would be harkening back to that same version, which I think Travis Johnson and Matthew Erb had used and called the Yeet Down, because it utilized Countdown as that 4th ship, who I think might be pretty underrated. It's very matchup dependent. Like if you're facing Fen Boba, Countdown becomes extremely annoying. You just kind of let him do whatever he wants, because taking both ships to shoot him, and where one of them's only doing 1 damage max, that's pretty annoying. Now, granted, against a Vulture Swarm, it becomes a lot more difficult, but Countdown and strikers in general have so much speed, and it's initiative 4. You have a lot of say in where you can be on the board. I think one of the advantages of Vermeil in this type of list archetype was how fast he could go and provide so much pressure. So I think there is advantages to slowing down Vermeil, but I think utilizing his speed, because Vader is now so much slower without afterburners, and having Countdown instead of Merrick allows your ships to be more flexible in board positioning. So baseline, I'd say try out. Not saying this is definitely better, but try out, instead of Merrick, switch to Countdown, and then take Intimidation off Vermeil and put Hull Upgrade in there. You have 4 points that could be kept for a bid, or you could throw Seismics on Countdown. I've heard a lot of surprise Seismics off Strikers have finished off very many ships for them in lists where a lot of people in the end game forget about it. You could throw in a couple Ruthless if you want on Countdown and Gideon. Just if Vermeil gets in a spot where he's not shooting, you can add a damage, which I'm always in favor of adding, or not adding completely, but like converting a result, any of them to a hit. I'm always in favor of making your red dice better than making their opponent's green dice worse. So whereas Intimidation will only work if Vermeil's bumped. If Vermeil's just in range 1, Ruthless will still trigger if you want to utilize that.
Maybe the Intimidation, and I was seeing he's actually in the chat right now. He was using Intimidation more as like a deterrent. It's like, don't let Vermeil end up on the grill, because then my other aces have a better shot.
Yeah, I mean that is a good zoning mechanism. I mean you can keep Intimidation on Vermeil in this variation when you switch to Countdown. I'm just not a big proponent of. I mean, he's already the second most expensive ship in the list, but to put more points into him, it's up to you what you want to use. It's like I said, it's definitely a good zoning mechanism. Like he's mentioning how they want to use it. So play with the last 4 points, see what you think. It's an old archetype that we had before. Had more room with more points. I think that Vader originally had Afterburners and maybe even FCS at the time.
I think there were also the Troopers. The Death Troopers
were on Vermeil, yep, because in that meta, a lot of people were expecting a lot of resistance that was stressing themselves. So, but no, I don't think. I think your list had definite viability. I'm just personally in favor of using the speed of Vermeil and not locking him down to coordinating Merrick just to make Merrick as viable as you can.
Cool. All right, let's go on to our next list here. Johnny Ray's resistance list that will be worked on and tinkered by Will. We got Benteen with... we got all the slots filled here, by the way, and I think both of them not quite the same. Or is it the same for both? It is exactly the same for both.
It is exactly the same.
All right, so we have Benteen and Vinny with... Trajectory Simulator, Perceptive Copilot, Veteran Turret Gunner, Proximity Mines, Pattern Analyzer, Skilled Bombardier, Proton Bombs, and Electronic Baffle. Will, what do we... This is a thick list. What's happening?
Okay, so I love this. But there's a couple things that I don't love about this. And it's actually the pilots. Can I do that? I can just change the pilots, right? With all of these cards in this list, I think I just changed the pilot, so it'll be okay. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm switching to Paige and Cat.
Paige.
Paige says after you drop a device, you can spend a charge to drop an additional device, which means that you can drop it in trajectory, I believe. Maybe, but you can't double trajectory, from my understanding. And then Cat says, after you perform a primary attack, if the defender is at range 0 to 1 of at least one friendly device, roll 1 additional die. So I think I understand what he's trying to do with the electronic baffle and pattern analyzer. Basically, you just post up and launch bombs, right? And then just every round you just take a damage, clearing your stress, and you can pattern analyze 2 more focuses, right? And you never have to move.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not X-Wing, though. So I'm going to take those electronic baffles off first thing and replace them with the delayed fuses, because we want to get Cat's ability to work. All right? And Cat can shoot a 5 dice, then a 4 dice attack, by the way. If that target's at range 1 with these veteran turret gunners. So, I'm trying to follow along.
Pew, 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 pew.
Where you're at. Right,
I did the delayed fuses, yeah.
All right, next step. Cat is initiative 1. That's really bad. Paige, initiative 5. That's really good. Swarm tactics. why don't they both shoot at 5? That sounds good. So go ahead and put Swarm Tactics on that page. And how many points? How many points are we at? Oh, I was watching.
201.
I was like, hurry
201.
up, Dion. I realized I was watching the Twitch stream. So hang on. All right, 201. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the Perceptive Copilot off of page. Okay. And then we're going to contemplate the last 7 points. Now, you could drop the Skilled Bombardiers and get up to 11 points, but I don't think it really gains you much. And you could drop 1 to put the Perceptive back, I guess. And I think that's really the deciding factor at the end of this list is what Paige's crew is going to be. You could do some funny stuff with It's the Resistance, GA97, to have Cat come out of nowhere and just start launching bombs at you, right? That sounds hilarious to me. But good luck keeping Paige alive for 3 rounds until that happens. Informant is also an interesting decision. Knowing where people are going to go before you drop your bombs is very interesting. But it's not going to give Cat a lot of information about dropping bombs. So I think I'm just going to play it safe, and we're going to keep the Skilled Bombardiers, and I'm just going to go with C-3PO, which is basically budget Perceptive Copilot. And Paige isn't going to be rolling that many dice anyways. She's only rolling the 3 than the 2. So she doesn't need double focuses. Plus, it could get you into some cool positions to where if she's in a bad spot or just about to die, really, she can still coordinate Cat and still give her PS5. So I think that's where I'm going to end up with that. Oh, wait, no. Do these have... Wait a second. This page has proximity mines, doesn't she?
She does.
I did not notice that, but I'm keeping it. That sounds hilarious. That's even better then, because Cat needs those bombs to be out on the field, right?
Yeah.
And your delayed fuses, well, I might actually reconsider delayed fuses then, but I think it's very important for Cat's ability. So I think I'm just going to keep it with the C-3PO and the Swarm Tactics there.
All right, so you end up with Paige, Swarm Tactics, Trajectory Simulator, Pattern Analyzer, C-3PO crew, Skilled Bombardier, Veteran Turret Gunner, Proton Bombs, Proximity Mines, and Delayed Fuses. Then on Cat, you got all that same stuff, but with a Proton Bomb instead of a... now, let me just read it. Trajectory Simulator, Pattern Analyzer, Perceptive Copilot, Veteran Turret Gunner, Skilled Bombardier, Proton Bomb, Seismic Charges, and Delayed Fuses. 2 thick bombers. There you go. Hopefully you have some fun with that, Johnny Ray.
Can we just call this the Bomber Dictionary?
Yes, I agree. I agree with all these things.
Joan, you say you're not doing the 4th one? You're going to skip it? Because I
Yeah,
can do
we're
it real quick.
We can skip it for. We'll save it for next week. Save it for next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, save it for next week. All right.
The answer's Jake.
I agree. I looked at that earlier.
It should be Jake and Braylon. Look into it.
All right. Last but not least, we have a list here from the Real Fun Bobby. Marcel's going to work on this, and Real Fun Bobby says this is my current Jank Tank list. That's not actually for the Gold Knock Open. I think it's just something he's messing around with. And here's the limitation. Marcel, what one upgrade would you change? Nothing else. One upgrade that you can swap. You can either -1, +1, or just straight,
Just straight swap, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a...
So let me read it down. Sorry. We got Avenger with Plasma Torpedo, Backdraft with Primed, Thrusters, and Special Forces Gunner, a Sinar Jameis Engineer, that's the Initiative 1 Silencer, and then a Naked Zeta Typho.
Yeah. No, I picked this one because this was a perfect post-migraine change. It's like you get one change. Yeah. So this is nice and calming. So with this one, the list itself, even the list itself, this is a really good random list for the most part. So the only actual thing that I did was take off the primed thrusters from Backdraft, and gave Avenger the pattern analyzer and just a couple points of bid. And again, I don't know what he's using. He said a jank list, but not necessarily the gold squadron.
Yeah.
And fly better jank, not gold, not Taya, not whatever you guys call it.
The gold knock jank tank open.
Why isn't it the gold better?
Because it's funnier that way.
All right, the gold knock better. It's not the gold knock better, so I'm assuming the initiative is not going to be always just randomized in this one. And with the Avenger, you do want to be able to like K-turn and get that plasma torpedo off, and also still trigger Avenger's ability, even if you're K-turn. So you might K-turn, get a focus if one of your ship dies. You still get to trigger that. So it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I don't think the prime thrusters on Backdraft does a whole lot, especially because Backdraft is typically just shooting forward anyway. It's not really stressing itself almost ever.
All right, so you end up with again that one change, pretty simple. Avenger with pattern analyzer being removed, that upgrade from Backdraft. All right, everybody. Well, we actually had one other thing on the docket, but we'll save it for next week, and it was a GSP list debate topic where Crazy Vulcan, one of our awesome moderators, and he also does a lot of work on the TTS program for X-Wing, he gave us a single ship. He gave us a Han Solo and built out a certain way, and he asked, build it however you want. Let's see who builds the best thing with it. We'll do that next week. That should be super fun. Gives us a week to think about it. But thank you, everybody, for joining us live, later, in person, in your ears, wherever we are. Know that we love you. Please stay safe. And I'm going to take a couple minutes break here, but I think I might, if I'm feeling it, I might log back on and do some more Jank Tank squad generations, just to kind of continue it. I got a text from Ryan that we're up to 420 people signed up, so I got a lot of squads to generate.
Wow,
that's pretty amazing.
We're like UK System Open levels of attendance here.
Yeah, should be pretty fun. And it's the funny part is I remember Dennis. He's the guy who runs Tabletop TO. He's like, oh, you shouldn't need a bracket that's more than like 500 people, right? And we're starting to creep towards that. It's like, So we'll see, guys. Well, thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. For everybody here at Gold Squadron Podcast, we love you. Gold Squadron out.